All right, hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening for this NetPicks Premier Trader University webinar. I do appreciate you joining us here live. I'm assuming, well, I know right now at the moment, everybody listening is listening live. I know some people listen a little bit later on replay, but live is always better because you get to interact with us. This is an opportunity to do that, certainly to ask questions and get feedback. I'm also joined here today. This is Mark Soberman, by the way, but I'm also joined by Brian Short. Brian, hello.
Hey, Mark. Hello. It's great to be here this evening.
And do you really mean that?
Oh, I do. It's always exciting to do these webinars. I really do.
Good deal. And Troy Noonan, hello.
Hi, Mark. And it is only the afternoon for me, so I'm still good. I've got my second wind.
There you go. That's right. So Troy is in California, and Brian is in Ohio, and I'm kind of splitting the difference there in Austin, Texas. So we're all over the country here, and I'm sure the people joining us today are basically all over the world. That's usually how it splits out. So a couple things. Just to remind you, you can ask questions as we go along. We'll try to answer those in the background there. Brian will keep an eye on that. Except when I'm sort of dragging him into the presentation here and putting him on the spot, which we'll do. And then we are also going to give you a demonstration of the Premier Trader University systems. So you'll get to see how they did today, both what we call the PTU and also the PTU trend jumper. So a couple different approaches to the same markets, which is always kind of good to see and good to be able to compare. And we'll sort of notate some differences for you so you kind of understand what's all involved with the university, how the education works, how the training works, how we get you started, and all that good stuff. But the big question for tonight, or in Troy's case for today, is futures day trading versus Forex day trading. And the reality is we're typically talking to people who are actively trading the markets or want to actively trade the markets. And I'm not going to say that we don't have a big contingency of swing traders, because we do. We have a lot of swing traders in our midst, and we will talk a little bit about swing trading as well, because there are some absolutely great opportunities on the swing side. But I wanted to focus tonight a little bit on kind of where a lot of people's interest initially goes, and that's on the day trading side. And in particular, in Forex day trading and futures day trading, we don't encounter a lot of people these days who are doing a lot of stock day trading. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist. It is out there, but it's definitely in the minority. So that's kind of what we're looking to focus on tonight. And I hope that we come up with a winner, in our opinion. I'm going to be curious to kind of hear what your opinion is, all of you. And then we'll kind of see where we kind of sort of came up with what we really determined is the best place for you to put your time and effort. So let me ask you all, just to start it up, to warm us up, kind of where you're at right now. If you have to choose, who wins this battle? Who wins this fight? Is it going to be Forex or is it going to be futures? And I'm talking specifically on day trading. So, and there's no wrong opinion. Like I said, as we go through this, I might even have a different opinion than Brian and Troy has. So we'll sort of talk about that and kind of talk about our reasoning for that. But I would hope to get you some information tonight that maybe, in some cases, changes some minds. It might not, but that's kind of the goal overall. So what's very interesting is right now it is a true throwdown. As I see the numbers coming in, I'm going to need to get more people to click, because literally the last time I looked, it was 50-50. So we can't have a draw. This fight will not end in a draw. We will definitely force all of you to pick a winner, and you now have picked a winner based upon what I see on the screen. It was close. So right now, 55% futures, 45% Forex. So very, very close battle. Doesn't surprise me at all, because there can be a compelling story for both. But that's, obviously kind of where we're at right now to start this up. Let's get this going. You know the usual statement of disclaimer. It's just important to understand we are going to talk about trades. We're going to show real trades on futures, on Forex, maybe some stock. We're going to talk about winners, losers. Obviously, there's risk on every trade that was taken, so you do need to understand that going into this. I'm assuming that all of you do. So we've already kind of touched on what we're going to attempt to settle, Forex or futures on the day trading side. We probably should do the same argument on swing trading another time. We're also going to demo the strategies. Once we sort of declare a winner, we'll probably show you a little bit of why we think that that area has the most promise, because the bottom line, this is all about how we can get you trading profitably, right? I mean, if you're going to have only so much time in the day or night, you've got to put your time and effort into something that's going to be productive for yourself, and we'll kind of show you how you can do that. A lot of you know that we've been around since '96. I won't spend hardly any time on this, but this is our 17th year in business. We have installed base from all over the country. We've got a few hundred people joining us here tonight. That's me, top left, Mark Soberman, Brian Short, bottom right.
Mark, I'm going to interrupt here a sec.
Yeah.
I don't think the projection's coming through.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. All right. Hold on one second.
We got to see your picture.
Always interrupt. Always interrupt.
Hopefully you put a target on it with some arrows in it.
Well, that's when I got to yours. Actually, gives me a chance to kind of rub that off the screen, so that was a little rude of me. All right, so here's the disclaimer, blah, 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 so you guys see it there. You're probably wondering, like, where is that? So that's that on the screen. What else did I say? Let me see. What else did you miss? You missed this. No big deal. You missed this. Well, this you don't want to miss. I mean, Brian Short there in the bottom right. There he is in all his glory. And I know Troy gets a little jealous because he's not on this first page, but don't worry. We put him right in the middle on the next page. So there's TJ Noonan.
There's right. The bullseye, right?
Yeah, there's the bullseye. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking, you know. So, oh no, that's not very nice.
You aim right for that nose area.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was kind of like this, like the hairline is just terrible here. And I'm sad to say this is a little old, this picture, so it's actually gotten worse. It now kind of goes up to here, but that's a whole other story. It's probably not why any of you are here tonight to discuss my hair challenges. So here's the staff that works on the NetPicks PTU. So before we get going, I like to talk about numbers because I'm going to bash a little bit on some things. And so before I bash on some things, and maybe Brian and TJ will as well, the good news is number one, on Forex can absolutely make a living. You can be successful. You can have many, many profitable trades in Forex. And you kind of see on this being the PTU trend jumper, some just killer numbers in Forex from last year and into this year. You can see here on our active swing trading inside the university, which is a little bit different than the trend jumper. It has a lot more activity, as you'd imagine, but it's still swing trading. Very good numbers, very consistent month to month, whether you look at the Euro US or the Euro Aussie or the Euro Yen, Pound Yen. You know, there's nice profits there. This is all strictly mechanical. Nothing that we teach you in the training to actually improve upon the mechanical, but just to show you strictly mechanical consistency is there on Forex. And no question, lots of great stuff in futures, right? So going into this, I have no reason to be biased against anything or for anything. You know, I see there's profit potential on both sides of things on futures and Forex. So, and we, of course, can't trade every one of these markets. Even myself, I can't be in every single market here on the list, even though we have plans and systems for all these markets, because all of you may have different priorities of what you want to trade. You know, I have to make the hard decisions just like all of you have to make the hard decisions. You know, I don't have the luxury of trading 8 different futures markets and you know, 20 different Forex markets on a day trade. It's just not humanly possible. So that's why I think this topic is so important, because you have to make tough decisions. I have to make tough decisions. So the question is, who's going to end up on the mat? You know, down goes Forex or down goes futures? You guys kind of were pretty split as an audience overall. I guess I should ask to start it up. Well, I'm not going to do that yet because we're going to sort of go through a few things here. Now, I've got a little bit of bias that you're going to see when it comes to Forex day trading because I think it's tough. I think there's some real challenges on the Forex side that I had to really consider when I sort of am personally deciding what to trade, right? I have to make this decision just like you have to make this decision. So some of the things that went through my mind on Forex were, as you can see, no centralized trading. That makes me a little nervous because I got to put a lot of trust in my broker. There isn't any one set regulated exchange where everything is cleared through. I'm now trusting a lot of companies, and some of them are very much fly-by-night. Believe me, I visited some of them before. It's a little scary. So you got to sort of deal with that. You know, there's no sort of set spreads. When there is fixed spreads, they tend to be kind of wide. And then, of course, nothing's ever fixed. The second the markets move quickly, all the promises go away. You know, liquidity disappearing, platforms freezing up. You know, it can be pretty tough sometimes to be a successful Forex day trader, even if you're a really damn good trader. It's still sometimes tough to get the profits. So that's why you hear us a lot talk about the benefits of swing trading, on the Forex side because we love Forex. It's just we tend to gravitate more towards something that's a little easier, which is going to be the swing trading side of Forex. And if you've been in some of our webinars, you've heard this from us before. This is nothing new. If you haven't been to our webinars, this is typically how we endorse trading Forex for the reasons you see on the screen. Things like spread and frozen platforms and a lot of things that impact you dramatically on day trading kind of go away on swing trading. So I thought the best thing to do would be to say, here's some of the groups of markets that can be traded. And since we'll be getting into March Madness, right, it's coming up here. If you follow basketball at all in the States, we've got the big college tournament coming up in March and into April. I don't know why they just call it March Madness because it goes on forever. But that's when it starts. So, you've got the brackets and a lot of people sort of participate in the brackets and kind of pick their winners all the way. So I've kind of put some of the key areas against each other. The first being day trading the Euro-US versus day trading any other Euro pair, Euro-CAD, Euro-Aussie, Euro whatever, Euro-New Zealand. Then you've got, of course, the Pound-US versus the Euro-Yen. And then down below, I've got the futures battling it out, whether it's the metals versus the ags, stock index futures versus the energy. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to actually ask Troy, between Euro-US and Euro anything else for day trading, what would you pick? What would win that battle for you?
For day trading, the toss-up between the Euro-US and the Euro-Yen.
Right, the Euro-Yen's on a little lower bracket there, so you can't decide that on that.
You're right. Then it would be the Euro-US.
Okay, fair enough. Brian, between Pound-US and Euro-Yen, what would you pick?
Pound-US.
Interesting. I have to completely disagree with you.
Go for it.
Between the metal futures and the ags, I already know Brian's answer on this, so I'm going to ask Troy.
For me, I'm going to go with the ags. I mean, we finished in 25 seconds today. Hard to beat that.
All right, you're just showing off now. And day trading stock index, this is a tough one, versus energy futures. Brian, what do you think? And tell me why.
Energy futures right now for sure. I mean, my favorite markets right now are RB, which is unleaded gas and heating oil. Those markets just move and can get you in and out of trades pretty quickly. So those are my favorites right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you're not starving for trades, which sometimes is what happens a little bit when the stock index futures kind of slow down. It sort of feels that way. So for me, this is what I went with. Day trading the Euro-US. I would agree with that for sure. Spread is a huge part of day trading, and spreads get very wide on some of the other Euro crosses. Even if there's small at times, there's none that's going to be narrower than the Euro-US. Personally, I would have picked the Euro-Yen. The reason is there's just so much great movement right now on the JPYs. The spread is really narrow. It tends to be narrower than the Pound-US. And the Pound's got good movement lately, but it went through months and months and months of going nowhere. So that's, again, why I would have chosen that. And then the ags, I guess we all agreed on that, and then the energies as well. Actually, let me ask everybody here listening, between the Euro-US and the Euro-Yen, because that's kind of the next one in the bracket, what would you guys pick in the audience listening here today? And then I'm going to go ahead and ask Brian, now that we unfortunately knocked off your Pound-US, between day trading the Euro-US and the Euro-Yen, what do you think?
Well, let me think about this one a second.
And there is a right answer.
There's your answer, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
that's
the right answer. Yeah.
And I'm going to bet you said Euro-Yen, but I'm trying to, in my thought process, see if I want to agree with you or not. So, my Forex trading, which I don't do a lot of right now on an active basis, goes back quite a few years. And back then, we traded the Euro-US on a pretty consistent basis. I'm going to go with the Euro-US, but I have a feeling you're going with the Euro-Yen.
Interesting. And then, Troy, for you, between the ags and energy, that's a tough one.
For day trading, a lot depends on account size, but I will go with the energies.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so let me see if you can see that the audience here picked, it was close again, very close, but a little bit of an edge. Interesting, actually, to the Euro-Yen. I would almost bet that they would have said something different. You know what? A little earlier, too, I wanted to kind of see what everybody thought about the one that we decided was the energy, but you don't have to agree with that. So just to ask, between day trading stock index futures and day trading energy futures, kind of see where the group lies. Again, feel free to disagree. It's perfectly fine. But we do definitely think we've got a compelling argument for day trading energy. But a lot of people haven't done it. So, a lot of people have just traded the S&P Mini or crude oil, or I shouldn't say crude oil, S&P Mini or Russell Mini, and it's just sometimes lack of exposure to some of these markets. I can tell you 6 months ago, probably the entire NEPIX community had hardly ever heard of or traded unleaded gas or heating oil, right? And now it's probably one of the most popular markets we have. So 3 out of 4, interesting. I decided to agree with us, so appreciate that. And I like the 1 out of 4, the Mavericks in the group on the day trading stock side. So let's kind of continue this on, and I'm going to go all the way to the winner. I agreed, actually, Euro-US, Brian, so there you go. You actually had it correct. I just think, between the two, if I had to choose, I think the JPY is really a great trader right now, but just, again, thinking things don't always last in trading. I'm just thinking consistency over the years. And Troy, did you say energy, between the energy and the ags?
I did, but if it was April, it would be a tough decision because I think the indices are going to really wake up. We've seen that many years in a row. So at this point, yes, energy.
That's good point. And then I picked between the two, easily for me, no-brainer, energy futures. So for you guys, between the Euro-US and the energy, since we both all seem to gravitate towards the same, what would you all pick, starting with Brian?
No question for me right now, energy.
TJ?
Energy for sure.
Okay. It's kind of tough because a lot of people want to trade Forex. A lot of people do trade Forex. So a lot of times it's kind of, you guys are wrong. I mean, everybody's out there talking about Forex, but there's been some change during 2012. We've seen a lot of the studies and the numbers, and a lot of the Forex brokers are actually seeing a decline, especially in the U.S., in trading and trading volumes and interest. So it's been kind of fascinating because we've seen futures suddenly come up on a lot of people's radar that really hasn't in a long time. I play tennis with this guy. He's been a big Forex trader. Drives me crazy every time we play because all he wants to do is talk about his trading. And all I want to do when I go play tennis is just forget trading for a little while. But he's been just battling all the headaches in the Forex markets and recently switched over to futures for a lot of the same reasons. So, and you can kind of see the group here as well shares a pretty similar consensus, the energy futures over the Euro US dollar. So again, nobody says you can't day trade the Euro US and be successful. You absolutely can. But it, in our opinion, is a much more challenging path to success. And trading is hard enough. I don't really know the point of making it super difficult. So this is one of the reasons why I think we have run into this. And, Brian, we could probably talk about our little managed fund story of a while back because we encountered a lot of this in our time. But just to explain what this is a little bit on the screen, these are trades that are happening in the exact same time, basically on an automated system. And these are a number of different brokers out there. And these trades were all sent through at the same split second. And look at the difference in slippage on trades taken the exact same time. Now, this isn't cherry picking one bad trade. This is all the trades that were sent through over literally over a year. So the worst broker, almost 5.5 pips of slippage versus, some of the other brokers, very, very good execution. But don't forget, some brokers towards this side may have commissions on top of spread. So it's not always the true story. But this is one of the reasons why I think it's so hard to day trade futures when you're going for 5, 8, 10 pips, because any kind of slip, any kind of fast movement in the market, and this happens. I mean, can you imagine if you're going for 8 pips and you slip 5 pips? I mean, you're pretty much done. This is before even spread enters the equation. This is literally the price that was executed on a trade sent at the same time across these brokers. It's a fairly dramatic story. I looked at another set of examples. It's just as bad. So every time I looked at this research, the story didn't get any better. I mean, one, it shows you how much your choice of broker is really super critical. And two, it shows you're relying on every single individual broker to make their own market. They're their own exchange, basically. And personally, I don't want to trust my money and my investments to all these companies that, honestly, most of them I've never even heard of. So, Brian, do you kind of remember what I was talking about a little bit on this side of it with Forex?
I remember all too well, Mark. And even though it's been probably more than 10 years ago when we were in that project, so this goes back a little bit, but in the early years of Forex, it was even worse than it is now. And on a managed fund that we traded, it was almost a daily battle with the broker to get fair pricing. And there's one particular situation that kind of sticks out in my mind, and it was on one occasion when the broker reached 40 pips, and I said 40, you heard me correct, 40 pips past any other any other broker on that day to take out our stop, and then ultimately that trade turned around and went to its full target objective. Now, after battling and battling with the broker, we did get them to reverse that trade. But why do you, why would you want to put your energy into that process when there are other markets out there where that's not an issue? You have centralized pricing. And, I think that's really what futures offers you, is that mechanism. And there's many other markets that offer you that kind of regulated pricing. So anyways, that's the story on our managed fund trading back a few years.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, this is speaking from experience. Again, we have no reason to be biased against anything. For us in this business, we need to get you into areas that actually work and are profitable. And I could care less. I mean, Troy, you said this earlier today in the earlier webinar that you pretend sometimes wheat, right, is the S&P mini because it's just a symbol, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter what gets us to the point of profitability.
Yeah, it's so true. And the total other side of that is I was talking to a gentleman today who is just married to the ES. I mean, I think they've been on many nightmare honeymoons together. But the thing is that it doesn't matter what the symbol is, and all you see are buyers and sellers and green bars and red bars. I mean, who cares what the symbol is, really?
Yeah, I totally agree. This, on the screen here, I wanted to kind of show you some. This is in real time right now. And this is a number of brokers that MT4 spreads connects with. And this is the spread right now on the Euro US. And look at the range from the worst, which is 3 pips, all the way down to the best, which is at the moment about a half a pip. Now, that doesn't always tell the full story because there's commissions as well on some of the ECN brokers. So again, this is another problem that I see with this type of trading. If you're attempting to day trade, you're so dependent upon where the broker is going to move you in and out. And it gets even tougher. Remember when we talked about what if we were trading the Euro US versus like the Euro Aussie on a day trade? I mean, 11 pip spread, 10, 9, 7, 6, because we're a little later in the evening. A lot of these spreads have gone up because of the time that we're talking. But I mean, you just can't day trade when you have 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 pips of spread. I mean, how about this Euro CAD, right? I mean, it's just, forget the real high ones here, but even if you go further down, these are well-known brokers. I mean, 6, 7, 8, and there's no guarantee that you're always going to get executed right at those prices. And this is the spread that's just built in right now. I mean, Euro pound, you can kind of see where it goes up to 6. And these are some fairly liquid pairs. And this is the story no matter where you look. I mean, even the pound US, you get all the way up to 5, but very common to see 3 or 4. 2 is pretty aggressive. I understand that there are some that are lower, but don't forget spread can be so easily manipulated. I mean, you can't do sometimes what this is doing here, which is comparing everything really quickly. So you may see a spread of 1 pip, but you know what? Maybe they actually put the market a pip higher than everybody else. So you're really paying more than you think sometimes, and that's a whole other issue. Looking here, FX Intel, also a pretty neat little site. And what I do on this one is I say, go ahead and include the commissions because, you've got ECM brokers who do the same. And does a lot of the same type of thing, sort of gives you the spreads in real time off of live data that's happening right now. And you can kind of see on the Euro US, right, 2.6 is the high right now, all the way down to 0.3, 0.4 on the low. But the story is going to be the same wherever we look, comparing the different pairs. And especially if we start to get into, I think, some of the pairs that are easy to make money on, unfortunately, like the Euro Aussie, you've got big chunks of spread that you have to deal with. So this goes beyond the slippage. So you've got the slippage problem that I showed you. Then you've got the spread issue that we're talking about now, whether you're on an ECN or a fixed spread broker. All of this, we don't have to think about it all in futures. You want to know why? Because we pay a commission, which is under $5 a round turn. And yes, we will have sometimes some slippage, but a lot of the markets we talked about, it's a 0 to 1 tick. And even markets that have a lot of slippage, like an unleaded gas or heating oil, you may have 4 or 5 ticks of slippage, but on a day trade on the Forex, what are you going for? 15 pips if it's a pretty good move? On unleaded gas, do you know how many ticks you go for usually? 75 to 100. So if I've got 4 ticks of slippage going for 100 ticks, it's 4%. But if I've got, 2 pips of slippage on the euro and I've got a pip on the, on the spread, and I'm just going for 15 pips, that's 20% of my profit is going to costs. It's just too much. It makes it really, really difficult. Now, if you're swing trading Forex, hey, everything changes. The story gets a heck of a lot better because if you're going for 100 pips or more and you've got 5 pips of cost, no big deal, right? That's 5%. That makes it a lot easier. I pulled out from our PTU, from the university, the systems that we have out there, some of the trade plans. And these are some of the average daily returns, all winners, all losers, okay, not just cherry picking the best day. This is everything. And you can kind of see heating oil, $140 a day, single contract, by the way. Unleaded gas, $174 a day, wheat, $50 a day, one contract. And then the number in parentheses is conservative trading, no more than 2% risk. That's how much capital. Could you trade with less? Of course, you'll have to be more aggressive in your risk. If you want to get it down to 5,000 or something like that, you got to be a little bit more aggressive. But you can see that even worst case, right, the Dow E-mini, $35 a day, you need $6,000 for very, very conservative risk. Now, I looked at our Euro US and Euro Yen day trading, both absolutely profitable. $37 a day, $50 a day. Doesn't look too terrible. But then I also looked at the size account that you need. So on the Euro US, to get $37 a day on average, you need $9,000. And this doesn't include the dark side, which is the spread that can range from $5 to $30, and any slippage, frozen platforms, lack of ability to get in or out of the market, liquidity issues with your broker, connectivity issues, all the things that seem to happen a lot in Forex. So look at the worst case on the Dow. It's a very similar dollar per day, but you need 50% less, basically, almost, of the size of the count. So which one has the better ROI? Euro Yen, $50 a day. All right, that's better. But compare that to wheat, which is $51 per day. You only need $7,500 to be conservative. On the Euro Yen, you need $13,000 to be conservative. And this is, assuming trading a standard lot to get to that average dollar size. Now, the whole story would change if I would pull up Forex swing trading. It's extremely compelling. Believe me, that would be probably a pretty interesting battle between futures day trading and Forex swing trading. That might be a tough one to settle up. I mean, in fact, Troy, what do you think between that? That's a tough one.
You can't get away from the Forex swing trading no matter what, because, if you use the end-of-day charts, you're only, investing a few minutes a day. How do you get away from that? You can't really. I think that you just can't get away from that. Now, if you want to day trade also, okay, great. Do it. But I think the swing trading Forex is just so compelling if you don't want to be married to your charts. If you want to be in the market as little time as possible and enjoying your life as much time as possible, it's really hard to get away from the swing trading.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Troy's going to show you here in a moment some charts. I'm sure he'll show you a little bit of futures, taste a little futures, and taste a little bit of swing trading the Forex. And there is a difference because it's the time spent in the markets, and it's a lifestyle decision a lot of times as well. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here tonight, of course, on stock. Sometimes we get questions in the university, do we cover stock and options? And we definitely cover all the favorites from Apple, Google, eBay, Netflix, etc. on the stock and options side. Great opportunities. Very much fitting what Troy was talking about on the swing trading side. So if Forex swing trading isn't your thing, option swing trading can be really brilliant because you have great leverage, lots of control of risk, and you do have the ability to make 50 to 100% on a trade or more based upon the power of that leverage. But at the same time, you can really cap the risk that you have going into that. But that's probably another webinar for another time. So let me just briefly cover some of the markets just from today in the PTU systems. These are the systems that you would learn in the university. We very much do something we call power of quitting. So that means that we really are looking for one winner and done, and we basically, of course, move on. So this is, let me just go forward. That was from March 4th. Let's look at today real quick. Hope you don't get dizzy there. So we had a setup, and let me bring up the data window here on wheat futures to start the session, 9:40 in the morning. That's actually 10:50. This is, I am in Central Time, but actually, no, I'm sorry, that's actually 9:50. So we go ahead and have the entry. Let me just highlight here. 692, we have a target of 695, going for 2 full points, $100 basically. Trade doesn't end up working, right? It goes down to the protective stop. So a couple things I always want to point out, and when Troy shows you his charts, we always know every single part of our trades ahead of time. We know our entry, we know our target, we know where we're going to have money management, which is right here. We know that our target's up here, and we know we're going to bail on the trade if we're wrong about the direction and we're going to get out. We always know in advance our max risk. So later on, we come back with a short, and the short ends up entering. I'll go back one bar to see it. This is where we would have had the setup at 685.50, and we go down to our target at 682.50. Sorry, 3 points is the target, so $150 on that move. Everything is exact for you. Now, of course, in the university, we teach you, why is this a buy? Why is this a short? You know, why did you place this? Why did you place this? These are things that we teach you. A lot has to do with the indicator down here, which we call the trend power. When the trend power is green, we're only buying. When it's red, we're only selling. And we only sell into support, which are these moving average indicators here. We'll only buy coming off of moving averages on the upside when trend power is green. So we definitely have momentum behind us, we have support behind us, and we have trend behind us. In addition, we trade a very unique way. Some of you may trade with these kind of bars, some of you may not. These are all what's called range bars, so fixed range bars, much more effective than trying to trade with time interval, 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. Believe me, it blows it away. Much better way to trade. So again, we all trade with tick or range. On PTU systems, we use range. When we show you the trend jumper for the PTU in the university, we use tick and range. So this is where the best opportunities, except on Forex when we're using daily. So this is today on wheat, made a little bit of money overall with a winner and a loser. Unleaded gas, remember Brian mentioned, one of his favorites to trade. Here's the reason why. Here was the trade from today. By the way, this set up at 9:50 New York time. We had an entry, and the entry was exactly at 3.114. The exact target too was at 3.1249. So let's do the math on that really quick. 3.114 minus 3.1249 just to give us 109 ticks. So like I mentioned, if you had 4 ticks of slippage for whatever reason on this, would that bother you when you're going for 109 ticks? Each tick is worth $4.20. So on this trade, basically this move, how much do we make? We make $457.80. And that's going to be the ugliest. Look at that. It's like a kindergartner writing. That's actually how my writing looks, even when I'm not writing on the screen. They said I should have been a doctor for this reason, but that's a whole other story. So $457.80. One contract, by the way. Nobody says you can't trade 2 contracts or 3 as your account grows. You can't do it initially, but you certainly can as your account grows overall. So energy futures, remember, that's one of the ones we talked about. Let's talk about some more energy futures. How about crude oil? Been a very popular market for a long time. So crude oil today, right here is the entry at, in this case, at 9:45. We get our setup. Notice why we had the setup. Maybe you noticed the trend power down below, right? It went from red to green. And then we have what we call a breakout trade. In this case, we didn't even wait for the pullback. That's one of our specific rules. And we ended up with an entry at 91.37 and a target of 91.61. $240 on this target. Let's see how long it took. 9:49 to 10:08. So 18, 19 minutes of time. And it wasn't a perfect trade, right? It didn't go straight to target. In fact, the moment we got in, we were actually losing some money. But we had our stop down here. Nothing but structure on the chart, right? You'll never trade without every possible understanding of what you do next. It's one of the beauties of trading with the PTU methods, right? All that subjectivity and uncertainty and unease really goes away as a result of this. Heating oil, right? Another energy market. Again, this is all from today, so I'm not, and Troy will do the same thing. I'm not going to pick the best of the best. This looks beautiful, right? But wait a minute. Let's see how this day actually started. Ooh, not so pretty. So we actually started with 2 losses, right? Do we give up? Do we kick the computer? Do we scream? Do we yell? You might, but hopefully you don't. In the past, I probably would have. But we start with a trade on the buy side that doesn't work. We start with a short that doesn't work. It looked like it was going to work, and then it bailed on us, right? It ended up going back to the stop. There was a reason we took the buy here. It was in our trade plan. It was a valid trade. But a little bit later, trade number 3 at 10 o'clock, we get in, and this trade ends up working. Okay, so again, let's look at the size of this trade overall. Look at our data window. Where did it go? All right, so we're long at 29766, and we go up to 29855. So a little quick calculation on how many ticks. We got 89 ticks, $4.20 a tick, $374, and we do it again on the short side. Brian, I think you actually had these trades today, right? I believe these were your trades.
These are my trades, and believe me, those first 2 losses were a little bit uncomfortable.
Were you kicking your screen? Were you cursing? Were you
not
doing
at all
anything? Yelling at the wife? No.
I was doing other work in the process, and I took each one of those trades.
Think about this trade too. It barely got to target.
Barely.
Sigh of relief. Even this one. We got to the target a little further, but the moment it hit that, it reversed around. What was interesting is we have a couple different approaches on heating oil. And Troy will probably maybe even show you one as well. So I looked at the other one, which we didn't trade today. And, sure enough, it was like one and done. that's the way it goes sometimes, with trading. We were in on a bigger battle overall. But that's just the reality. And you can't just, have every day be perfect. It just won't happen. But, on the week, obviously we're doing pretty good on the week overall in this market. If I remember correctly, let me look at it real quick. Bring it up on the screen here in a second. Yeah, so even though today was a bit of a battle, it's been pretty smooth all week. $1,100 in profit overall. Not every trade is winning, as you can see. Even starting pretty crappy, we probably wiped out a lot of our profits starting the day, but we certainly were able to come back, thankfully. Based on that. So one more market, just real quick, and then I want to hand it off to Troy. The Dow E-mini is a very smart market to start with when you're just learning, because it's not too painful. It's not going to cause you a lot of big loss. It's only $5 a point. Today was brutally slow, right? Look at this. We did lose a little bit of money today on this market. It's been really great recently, but 14,270 down to 14,253. We lost 17 points on this one, about $85. So that's the nice thing about the Dow E-mini. Even if you get on the non-farm payroll, which is tomorrow morning, we knew, and Troy maybe will talk about this, we knew today was going to be just a churn. Worst case, so what? You lose on a trade and you come back and you take the next trade. But again, you have all the structure you need on a market like the Dow. So stock index futures can be great. I would say you start with something like the Dow E-mini instead of the S&P E-mini. That would be, personal choice. Troy, let me hand it off to you. I know you've got some more real cool examples to show the group.
Yes, I do. And I'm going to show you something. Well, I want to show you things that happen currently as well. Let me grab the monitor. And Mark, if you could tell me when you can see it.
I do see it.
Okay, great. So a lot of trades fired off over the last day or two in my swing trading strategy, or end of day, what I'm trading every day. And I'm going to start by showing you a pair that maybe you don't think of too much, the CAD yen. Of course, all the yen pairs have been hot, and I'll show you some others. This one just set up last night, okay? Today, the bar closed right there, and now you got the next day's bar has already begun right there. So I'm, after this webinar, am going to be looking over my charts and making adjustments to my trades. Maybe I'll look for new setups. Maybe I'll adjust my stops or whatever. So this just happened yesterday, okay? And it's very simple. If the trade is above the green dotted line, it's a long trade. The plus sign's your entry. You click on the bar, you get your entire trade laid out for you in the data window in the order of the way the dots appear. So you got your stop, your entry, your targets, just how it is printed here. Very easy. And these trades happen with such frequency that you can be very active. You can have anywhere from 1 to a dozen trades a week, maybe even more sometimes if you're trading a lot of pairs. And because the market is closed, you actually have time, or even if it's open, like now it's open, but you have time to think it through because these are daily bars. So you spend a little time each day with your charts. When I put this trade on, I entered at around 91.31. I had a little spread on there, right? The entry says 264. I just rounded it up to 3.1 to cover spread. I might have even put it in at 3.2 or 3.3 just to make room for spread because spreads are always changing. It triggered in no problem. Now I have the option to peel off some profit at the first target, the second target, and the third target. The way I've been trading it for the most part is I'm coming off with half my position at the third target. It hasn't gotten there yet. Looks like it's on the way. But when it gets this far, I'm moving my stop and protecting my position. So I'm going to be in a risk-free position. So win or lose, doesn't really matter. It's just another trade, but I've already taken the risk off. But even if I leave the risk where it is, let me put a horizontal line at the entry and at the stop. And then when I exit at the third target right there, I'm risking this little bit to make this big amount. It's nearly 2-to-1, okay? And it's a great way to trade because I'm just going to, when I'm done setting my trades, I just walk away and I don't have to deal with it till tomorrow. So when we were talking about, what would you rather do, day trade futures or swing trade Forex, this is a hard thing to get away from. One thing about Forex when you're trading on this time frame is that you can count on, I'd say, 1 to 3 times a year where you're going to get a monster move. And we saw that happening on the yen crosses beginning near the end of last year, around November-ish. And you could see how you've got all these beautiful trades going up. And we could look at any of the yen pairs. And with Trend Jumper, you're actually able to add to your position and build a really strong position, each one with that nice risk-reward ratio. This trade, and we'll look at a couple other examples, but it got in at November 15th, and it made a nice 2-to-1 profit over here, but look at how it trailed. It continued trailing all the way up to here. I mean, that's huge. Meanwhile, you're able to add and take profit along the way with these other positions, managing each one independently. Now, before I show you some other swing trade examples, since we were talking about day trading Forex, I do want to bring up something that, well, no one's seen this yet, so I hope I don't get in trouble, Mark, by showing this. But I do get a lot of requests for day trade, for Forex day trades. And some people want to trade the Asian session or the European session. And believe me, everyone who asks me, they're usually using MT4. So that means they're limited to time-based charts. So one of the things you can do within the PTU and with Trend Jumper is you can get some advanced tools working for you. So I went ahead and put a custom trade plan together on a day trade with this very pair, the CAD yen, looking at the Asian session. And it's kind of funny because the Asian session actually triggered in and then came down and lost. I haven't looked at the other sessions, but I just want to point out the challenge of day trading. These are 15-minute charts. The trade started to set up here right around midnight, and it took a couple hours, even longer, before it finally triggered in, right? So if you're day trading and you're trading a 15-minute chart, you're sitting there for 2 hours, you finally get filled, and the spread is only like 2 or 3 pips on this pair, so it's actually pretty good. But now what are you going to do? Every 15 minutes? I mean, wouldn't you love to pick up a trade like this? This happened today. It wasn't even during the European session. It was during it wasn't during the Asian session. It was during the European session. The target got 28 pips. The trailer got 115 pips. That's a really nice trade. But look at when it finally finished. It was at 3:45 p.m. today. That's a lot of work to day trade Forex. The strategy worked. I mean, look, this is a pretty nice strategy. It actually has a nice equity curve and everything. But who wants to do that? Who wants to work that hard when I could put this trade on, the same, oops, that's the US CAD, the CAD yen date, end of day, and that took me 5 minutes. And I'm going to end up getting the same, if not more. 5 minutes versus how many hours? You see the story this is painting? I'm not saying you can't day trade Forex, and I just showed you with a customized chart, time-based, you can. The question is why and who would want to? You know, I prefer to have a life. Let me show you another yen pair, and I'll show you what I mean by these monster moves, because this is marked up pretty good here. But this is the pound yen. Again, same strategy. This is the exact same settings. No customization like I showed you on that 15-minute chart. It's the same plan on just a different pair, trading it the exact same way. And again, you have here the middle of November. I mean, that trade made 156 pips with your 2-to-1 risk reward, but the trailer went all the way up. And I don't have the advanced tools on here to show you, but you just follow the green dotted line, and that made 989 pips. Meanwhile, you're adding your position here and here. You trail those as well for another 709, another 703. You know, you could get 101 on this one. This one made, well, you could see for yourself. I mean, this is thousands of pips for only investing a few minutes a day with your charts. Now, think of that 15-minute chart I showed you and ask yourself, what kind of trader do you want to be? Okay, now I'm going to show you the exact same trade plan, the exact same settings on a day trade. This is heating oil. We talked about heating oil. I don't even know how it did today. I forgot. It did good. You have to go back to the beginning of the session. Okay, so right around 9 o'clock. So the first trade of the day right here was at 9:06, and it triggered in, and it turned around and stopped out. Okay, it was a losing trade. Let me just show you once again the entry, the target way up there, and the stop right there. It's nearly 2-to-1. Okay, not quite, because you have a little bit on the breakouts to enter and stop, but close. Okay, it turns around then with the second trade right here. Let me get these lines out of the way. No problem getting to the full target. Trailed all the way down. And in just 2 trades, you are way positive. If you keep trading, you could see you might have ran into some problems right here when the U.S. market opened. That's normal. That's why we don't trade during this time. We stand down for a few minutes. Okay? And then if you want a power of quitting too, you pick up the winner for another big triple-digit gain all the way up to here. And if you're really advanced, you're adding your position here and here. That's something we haven't really gotten into with futures yet, but it's there on the chart. And as you grow and become better at this, and as you grow your account, you'll learn the best setups to add to your position on a very dynamic market like heating oil. This is the energies, common theme, right? I mean, I could show you the same thing in unleaded, but I wanted to show you the Dow E-mini because this is a market that a lot of people are interested in. It's been fantastic. We've just had our 13th winning session in a row. And not only that, but it hit new equity highs today. But I want to show you the dynamics of how we trade, taking what the market wants to give us instead of what we want from the market. It's a very important concept. Most traders put their personal needs first. They have to pay the mortgage. They have to pay their bills. And they base their trade decisions on what they need. And that is a recipe for disaster. But the big irony is that if you put the needs of your trading first, your trading will take care of your personal needs at the right time if you allow it to grow like you would grow a business. So we use that when we come up with our trade plans and our philosophy in general, using what we call power of quitting. And it keeps us in the market just long enough to move our accounts forward on a steady basis. So on Wednesday, we got this trade. Notice it looks the same. You got your entry, your stop, your targets, start time, first trade of the day. Don't care about these earlier setups because that's not our trade plan. We start when we start, same time every day. Triggers in, hits the target, trails on up to here. That trade made 34 points. One trade, new equity highs. That was like the 10th winning session in a row. We're done. One trade, we're done. Go have a life. Next day, same thing. We wait for our start time, 8:32, and we get a short trade. It's below the green dotted line. We know we're going short. There's your entry, your target, your stops. This trade ended up being a lot smaller because it's dynamically adjusted to market conditions. When you add up, by the way, it didn't go very far. It came back up and stopped out for only a few ticks on the trailer. And when it actually got out here where this green line is, when you add up all this, it only made 10 points. So the day before we made 34 points. Yesterday we only made 10 points, but another winning session. We're done taking what the market wants to give us because that's what our trading needs. And then waiting till the next day to trade again. And then we had today's session. And today, I even started the session in the trade room warning people you might want to go into sim mode because this is the day before non-farm payroll. And traditionally, we have seen over and over again, it's a hard session to trade with the indices, with crude oil, okay? Nevertheless, you could trade, but just lower your expectations and trade less. Maybe you only trade for the first 30 minutes and that's it. Either get it done or you don't, but you get out of the way, okay? So you don't, you live to trade another day. But anyway, first trade of the day, triggered in, and this one actually missed the full target by 1 tick. Just 1 tick. I mean, it's pretty accurate. Got to give it a little room for error. The stop, though, took the risk off the trade, moved up, stopped out for a few ticks. We got 3 ticks per position. If you're trading with 2 positions, you got 6 ticks or 6 points, and that's it. You're done. One and done. Done for the day. But notice the theme. We took what the market wanted to give us. We leaned on the strategy and just followed the trade plan, followed the dots. The trade's right there. There's no guessing. We know our trade plan. All we got to do is execute the trade, put together another winning session, new equity highs. It was a small winning session. But if you kept trading, it could have got really ugly. It's a slippery slope the day before non-farm payroll. We don't need to do that. We're trading for quality, not quantity. And that's how we keep moving our accounts forward, using the exact same strategy over and over again. Mark, let me hand it back to you. I can show more examples, but let's move this along.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, Troy. I mean, I think so visual what this is all about. I think the great example that you showed that I was even like, wow, that's actually really great to show was the CAD yen, where you cleaned up on a day trade, but it was brutal how long it took. And you had the same trade going on the swing trade side. You actually had more than the 100 and some odd pips in profit right now. And like you mentioned, it probably just took you a few minutes. I mean, if any of our examples, made a point, that one probably most dramatically showed it. Because you're right, it's like sometimes like worse than watching paint dry, waiting around for those markets to move. Like in Forex, you just sometimes have to wait for hours on end for them to get going. So the way that we work with the university, we teach you all of this. This is about training you and educating you in everything that we've shown you today, plus a whole lot more. Obviously, like we said, we can go on forever. We don't want to do that to you. But we just sort of barely just showed you the tip of the iceberg on the markets that we trade and the approaches that we take. And I know everybody's got different ideas of what you're looking for, from full-time income to part-time to building up retirement accounts. We do it in 3 simple steps: prerequisites, undergraduate, and major. So the whole idea here is, as you can see, we're very visual. We like things to be clear-cut. The same goes for the way that we teach. Very clear-cut, set path for you to take. Step 1, when you go through the prereqs, it's all video-based. You enroll, you just go through the videos, you watch that at your leisure. For some of you, it'll be tremendous review. For others, it'll be brand new. But no matter what, there'll be some really new concepts in here. In some cases, will really change the way you look at trading. We've had very advanced traders come in and say certain videos have really fairly dramatically changed their viewpoint of where they should be. And I don't know, I hope even tonight, maybe we've convinced a few of you to sort of look somewhere else and to do things a little bit differently and to not follow the same pattern that you've been following. We then move into the undergraduate, and this is really where it gets a lot of fun. Prereq, of course, is sometimes just trying to get all the basics in place, but the undergrad gives us the opportunity to teach you everything about the systems. That includes all the PTU 2.0 trading strategies that I was showing you. And that, again, was just barely I scratched the surface on the markets that we trade. And then also the trend jumper training as well, including advanced trend jumper training, the advanced calculator, which we'll talk about in a moment, that goes well beyond what we offer in the trend jumper standalone. This is done in 2 days. It's live in the markets. It's myself, it's Brian, it's Troy, and the rest of our trading team. Everybody participates in this. You all come to it. It's very interactive. It's just like being there, but you don't have to go anywhere, right? You're just in the comfort of your home or office. And we also record it in case you miss any portion of it. We teach in this kind of environment like you see here. We basically go through everything about the settings, the markets, the trade plans. So literally when the 2-day undergraduate ends, you can start trading these very same markets. We go through every rule, every nuance. And again, the beauty of this is PTU2, PTU Trend Jumper, always have a roadmap on the chart, right? That's one of the greatest things about it. Exact entry, exact targets, exact stops. That takes away all of that uncertainty and that discretion that goes into trading. At that point, you're ready to move right into step number 3, which is the majors. This is where you specialize. Now, the cool thing is you don't have to just be a futures specialist or a Forex specialist or a stock and option specialist. You do have the opportunity to move through all 3 majors basically at your pace, whatever works for you. But in the majors, we get to be more specific, more advanced, and really show you some very neat little techniques that sometimes only apply to Forex. I mean, Forex, as you've seen tonight, is very different than futures, even if you're trading the exact same trading system. Our systems are the same. When you learn them on futures, you've learned them on the Forex. You've learned them on Apple Computer. But there are, just as you can imagine, differences between, trading Apple and trading crude oil or trading the Euro Aussie. I mean, there's just nuances you need to know. And that's what we cover in the major. Again, done in the very same environment, walking you through very specific. But when we're in the Forex major, we're all about the Forex and nothing else. So this ability to really be able to educate you and concentrate specifically in these areas is what really starts to have way beyond just the light bulb moment. Okay, this is where people really start to kind of fine tune their results. And I'm going to show you why that's so important in a moment. So a number of futures markets, a number of Forex markets, a number of stocks and ETFs. I mean, you come out of this education way beyond just empowered to do your own trading. I mean, you're going to literally have at your disposal a lot of markets and plans that you're not even going to scratch the surface of, maybe ever. But that's the place you want to be. You want to have that flexibility. So literally, if you want to get up and move halfway across the world, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do that. You can just change your markets and change your approach. And you have access to all 3 majors inside of the university. Now, why is training and education so valuable? Why is it better for us to teach you the way that we're talking about rather than just deliver to your door a bunch of CDs and say good luck to you? Because look at the increase in performance you can get over mechanical. PTU system is mechanical results that I looked at over a set amount of time for a Forex market, a futures market, an energy market, a stock index market. Great results. Nobody would be ashamed of those results. You'd all be happy with them. But then you go ahead and you take what we're going to teach you, 17 years of experience in this business, in the training, in the undergraduate education, and in the major, and in the live training sessions. Those exact same trades, look what we were able to add to the bottom line, incorporating what we teach you. 32% on the low, 84% on the high. I always tell people you're going to at least get a 25% bump in any market, putting into effect beyond mechanical. Mechanical's fine, but you will far exceed mechanical if you will incorporate what we teach you in the university. And why not? It doesn't take a second more of work. It's just knowledge. Most people don't have the knowledge that you're going to have with the university. So you can get the great results in Forex. We showed you these early on, right? You can get the great results in futures. A couple other things I wanted to mention to you. I have some people in here who are already on the Trend Jumper standalone. You get some really great upgrades besides all the PTU2 systems and the much more in-depth education. You get the brand new advanced trading calculator that Troy showed you a little bit. Does a lot of the automatic stop movement on the chart, so you can have all that calculated for you, scaling, trailing, add-ons. It's really neat what it does. I mean, the amount of programming code that went into that, it took several months to get it done, and it's really impressive. You get that. You get additional market trade plans. You also have access in the university, whether you're on PTU2 or the Trend Jumper. We have an optional Trade Assist automation software. So if you want to automate some of what you've seen tonight, you'll have the opportunity to do that inside the university. And not just giving you software, we actually educate you on how to properly use the software, because we've used it for a long time. We have students using it. There are things you need to know when you turn on or off automation. We'll definitely help you not get into trouble. Let's just put it that way. And everything is always very class-based. We never just deliver something to you and say good luck to you. So when we go ahead and offer to you the automation, we're not just going to say, hey, good luck, hope this works for you. We have a complete training session, course, walking you through everything, and all interactivity. We support everything interactively and live. So again, you'll be able to get these benefits, but never again have to feel like, geez, I got to figure this all out on my own. You've got a company like NetPicks that's been doing this for 17 years. You've got a team of traders here. We share all of those experiences with you. So the class that's coming up, it's coming up pretty quick, March 19th and 20th. So this is perfect timing because you can immediately go through the prereqs but not have to rush. Then you come back on the 19th and 20th, and we'll teach you everything there is to know about the PTU2, your systems, the trade plans, the trend jumper, everything we'll go through in those 2 days. We've done it multiple times already. We've got no problem getting through the systems in that time. It doesn't take weeks and months or anything like that. And then thereafter, you can start the majors at your leisure. But I would start trading first and then start to fine tune when you go into the majors. March 19th and 20th, you 10 live. We record all of it. So if it's not the perfect day for you, not the perfect time, maybe you're going somewhere for spring break, whatever, no big deal. Everything will be archived for you for replay and review. So it's starting now. And the good thing is there's not going to be another class until May. So if you don't do it now, you're going to have to wait at this point 2.5 more months to get another opportunity. And Troy already mentioned he can't wait for April to start. That's typically when the stock indices really kick into gear. So it just makes no sense to delay the decision any further. So to recap what you get overall, this is all inclusive. Everything we've talked about tonight is included. The prereq, which is the home study course, the multi-day undergraduate program, all 3 majors, access to all the PTU trade plans. I mean, they're not one trade plan and you got to buy a whole bunch more. You got to buy level 2, you got to buy level 3, level 4, like a lot of other universities and academies out there. This is all in, all inclusive. Everything we have, everything we've developed, we share with you. In the student club, the library, the forums, you get all in. All of the software, the indicators, they work on TradeStation, on NinjaTrader, and the Forex on the Trend Jumper anyway works on MetaTrader. Live in the market trading room. This is a huge benefit. Unlimited. We don't charge you. We don't charge you daily, weekly, monthly, recurring, no recurring. 4 times a week we do a live US session. 2 times a week we do a live in the market European session. These are live. These are not cherry picked. These are as the markets develop. There is no better way to learn because this is about empowering you and educating you and turning you into a professional trader. Whether that's part-time or anything beyond that, you literally will have that experience with the PTU. We do group coaching, Q&A, all of the software. Talk about the TradeStation deal here in a minute. Pretty neat overall. Overall value, we've kind of added everything up individually, a la carte. Almost $17,000. Don't worry, don't have a heart attack. It's nowhere close to that. Even though there are schools that are over $20,000, we're not anywhere close to that price point. All in, all inclusive, no recurring. Brand new customers to NetPicks and PTU, $39.97, or split it up in just 4 payments, $9.99 each. If you already own any NetPicks course, anything, we'll take $1,000 off, and it's $29.97, or just a 4-pay of $749. I mean, we've shown you plans that have made multiples of that this week. So in some cases, I can't guarantee it that you're going to make it the first day out, but there's tremendous consistency in what we do. And I promise this to Trend Jumper standalone owners, what you invested, you'll get back 100%, and we drop it down to $2,000, giving you the family discount and the Trend Jumper discount, $2,000 all in. We've got 15 seats left at this point for the March class, so they're going. We've only got a couple more webinars to go. The class has been full every time before. It'll be full again. I know there's people in here who have been thinking about this for a while. You've been to several webinars. I think now is the perfect timing if you've been holding off to go ahead and get started. There is a guarantee to sort of take away a little bit of that concern. We know this is going to work for you. I ask you to do a few things, right? Review the prereqs, attend the live undergraduate class, install the indicators, make some trades. They can be fake trades, meaning on a demo account, but just follow what we showed you. Those 25 trades, I'm confident will be profitable. You will not want to give this back and not be able to trade it again because that's what happens if you do that. There's just no way. So I know everybody goes through this. You're not going to let me tear it out of your arms. But at the same time, if I'm in your shoes, I want to make sure that it's going to work like we promised. We've got all kinds of great testimonials you've been seeing rolling by. There's lots of people on it. It's been doing very well. the path to success. In the very beginning, the first class, I wasn't sure what the learning curves were going to be. It's blown me away how quickly people are up and running on both. So here's how you start. It's easy. It's simple. The timing is ideal. netpicks.com/enroll. You can get the new owner, the family discount, or the trend jumper plan, the one-time, or the payment plans if that's easier for you, whatever works for you. That's what's available. You've got the 100% risk-free guarantee. Everything is included, by the way. No license fees, no recurring fees. And I'll tell you, in May, that model is going to change, because one thing we've realized, we have a lot of overhead and expenses ongoing in the university. So we're going to start charging for the Owners Club, the trade plans, the software, recurring. The nice thing is everybody in the March and before are grandfathered in. We're not going to go ahead and change that on you or start to charge you anything. So this is a true one-time investment, and then you're finished. And my promise to you, there's no level 2, level 3, level 4. We're not holding things back. Everything that we've discussed is included overall. Now, we talked a lot tonight about various markets, right, that you can trade. And again, to remind you of how well the different plans have been doing. So you kind of saw what the costs were. You can see when you start to grow your account and start to trade multiple contracts. I mean, this is an investment for you. It should be nothing more than that. It should not be an expense. I don't want it to be an expense. I mean, I want it to be an investment, and I want it to be the best investment you've ever made in yourself and in your trading education. So the proof is there. A lot of the reason we spend so much time on the education side, right, giving these free webinars, is because if you do get started with us, I want to make sure that you guys trade successfully. So I really don't want you trading like the CAD yen on a day trade when we can have you trading the CAD yen on a swing trade and be happier and more profitable, right? That's the reason we have the throwdown tonight. I'm not discriminating against day trading Forex. I mean, it's never done anything to me, but ultimately I want you guys to have the best chance of success. So that's why we do that. If you're willing to trade with TradeStation and use the TradeStation platform, and this is not going to be, on the Forex side, it's on the futures side, they'll go ahead and they'll reimburse you up to 100% of the tuition costs you saw. So you can get it all wiped out over time just by taking trades. It's a great opportunity. If you like Ninja Trader, we've got a really amazing deal with AMP Futures, basically getting you wholesale commissions, like $3.50 around turn. That's another way you can go. And of course, there's a lot of great Forex brokers out there for swing trading. No problem at all. I already kind of went through this. We looked at our competition. We blow everybody away. I'm sure of it. The number of systems, the trade plans, the way that we do things live. We don't charge you recurring. We don't nickel and dime you with 4 different levels, and advanced and beginner and intermediate. I mean, everything we talk about is all inclusive. So again, just to kind of bring that up for you, we go back up here, give you the enrollment link. There you go. So Brian, let me switch it over to you real quick, because sometimes there are some questions that you probably are madly trying to answer.
Perfect timing, Mark. I've got a question here that needs a little more explanation. Tony S. is asking, what was displayed tonight strategy-wise? So let me kind of be clear what you viewed tonight. The strategy that Mark was showing you and the trades that I personally took today is what we call PTU 2.0. So, Tony, that was the method that Mark showed you very early on. And then if you remember, Tony, we switched to Troy, and his strategy is trend jumper. And that's the approach that he uses to trade the markets. And so keep in mind, trading is not one size fits all. Inside the university, we have multiple trade strategies. And so that's why we showed you a couple of different approaches tonight. So hopefully that clears that question up. The other very common question that I had tonight was what platforms are supported in PTU? And a very easy question for that. What you viewed tonight was we showed you on TradeStation. And that's the platform we like to use internally here at NetPicks. The PTU indicators are also supported on NinjaTrader, and Trend Jumper is now we just came out with this supported on MetaTrader 4. Keep in mind that would be Forex only. So that's the answer to that question. And Mark, I'm pretty much caught up. There was one question that I was going to have you answer. Oh, power of quitting. We had a question from someone that wanted to understand what that concept was. So would you like to explain that?
Yeah, I mean, power of quitting, and Brian, made a good point about the different approaches. And sometimes we're asked, like, why do you have more than one approach? And Trend Jumper, you may have seen on the day trading side, has a lot more frequency than PTU2 has. Not everybody wants to have as much frequency. an activity where you might have 4, 5, 6 trades fairly quickly. So they may want something like PTU2, which typically is trying to pick off that 1 or 2 trades during that session. But then again, the exact opposite. You might be somebody who's like, too slow for me. I want to get in and out of this as quickly as I can. I want to be a little bit more scalp oriented. So you have a way for us to have not just one market that I'm forcing you to conform to our way. Instead, we want to kind of over deliver, and then you can kind of like gravitate towards what fits you, like Brian said, the best. On Power of Quitting, it's a perfect example of what we try to do is we want you to get in, get out, get done. So Power Quitting 1, which are most of our trade plans, says 1 winner and a positive result, and you need to quit. So I did say end a positive result. So I'm not saying 2 losers like on that heating goal I showed you, and then we had a winner. When we were 1 and 2, we did have 1 winner, which is part of POQ, but POQ is 1 winner or more and positive. So we had to go and take the next trade in order to get positive. However, we have circuit breakers on time. I'm not going to sit there and start at 9:30 in the morning and just stubbornly trade until 2 in the morning and hope that in 42 trades I end up positive. I mean, there is a point where like, today is just not going to make it. So we will, have a start and an end. It's typically 2 hours or less, and also POQ, which is Power of Quitting. I have tested it 1,000 different ways. Trust me, I've tested where you take every trade during the session, and almost without fail, POQ1 has the best bottom line. And even when it hasn't had the best bottom line, POQ2 or 3 or whatever, or unlimited trades, even if they have a better bottom line, the average gain is usually really not nearly as good as POQ1. So work less, make more. You can just trade another contract or add another market. There's no reason to force yourself to just trade endlessly all day. Ken, to answer your question, on the live training, we do it in live webinar format. More interactive than this type of webinar. You'll see everybody else that's in there, all the questions going back and forth. You'll see the other coaches in there as well. So that's how we teach that. The signal room and the training room is done just like that as well, where everybody comes in. It's using a technology called Omnovia. So it's really nice, really interactive, and it gets you, answers quickly. Plus, you get to know the other students, which can be really nice as well. And we've got some really brilliant, really smart traders out there that really share some great stuff. I mean, they teach me stuff at times, things that I'm not even thinking of. So it's great to have the whole community kind of all in this together. I mean, we trade, our students trade, we all have the same objective. So it's a pretty nice experience for everybody. Does the MT4 trend jumper work with day trading? Well, the MT4 is the trend jumper strategies. So anything trend jumper that you can do on MT4, you'll be able to do, Sam. But you're not going to be able to do the PTU2 strategies on MT4. We don't have those compatible there at this point. Let me see. The trading plans are just a charm, 15 minutes at night. Yes, that's from Annie talking about, I believe, probably the swing trade. Sorry, you already shared that. I see the typo on that. No problem. Good deal. Let me see what else we've got. Where are the indicators? That's from Dennis. Where are the indicators? Dennis, I don't know if you currently own the trend jumper. Maybe you just bought it or something, or the PTU2. So maybe just clarify that, or Brian can answer.
I'm all set with him. I'm going to connect with him tomorrow.
All right, no worries. Let's see. Does somebody? No, on the swing trading, Troy goes over it in the U.S. sessions that he covers. So he'll review kind of what happened. You don't really need us to kind of be there when the daily charts close. I mean, it's pretty quick. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot that goes into it. It's so visual. But Troy will help you out in the training the next day. So if there's any questions, just show up to the live signal room, the live training room, I should say, and he'll take care of you. If you sign a new customer to PTU, what do we get? I mean, everything we covered tonight. All the PTU systems, the software, the trade plans, the training, the undergraduate, the prereq, the majors, all the PTU trend jumper, the PTU trend jumper advanced calculator. I mean, anything you saw this evening is all in, all inclusive and included. Rhonda says, will this work with any future and any exchange? What would you say to that, Troy? Because I know sometimes you get that question a little bit. How would you answer that? I have an answer, but I'm curious what you would say.
Well, I think that the answer is it would not work with any futures, any time frame. I think there's a sweet spot, and you want to look at where the action is and economize your time and be efficient with your trading. So, I mean, I've talked to traders that really want to force it to work on their market, their time frame, and I just think that's a mistake. I think you got to get away from what the symbol is and be more about making money. I think that's more important.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you are on a market that's got volatility, good swings up and down, and liquidity, there's no reason that it shouldn't be effective. Just be sure you test it first. Be sure that it proves itself, right, in the past, because if it can't prove itself in the past, it's surely not going to work in real time. I mean, that's the ultimate task. Put it on a chart, put it on a time frame, and say, you know what? If I traded this the last 30 days, would I have been profitable? If the answer is yes, you're on to something. If the answer is no, then, my God, there's dozens of other markets and plans that work quite well. I don't know about ZAR yen or the US ZAR at all. I haven't personally run to traded those. Same thing, if they've got the type of movement like you've seen on the other pairs that we talked about, then in theory, there's no reason that it shouldn't. Tony, no, the trend jumper, super effective in day trading futures. We probably showed you a little bit more Forex because we wanted to kind of show you the dailies on the Forex. So PTU 2.0 and PTU trend jumper, both very involved every single day in multiple different futures market on the day trading side. They also both swing trade Forex, but they do them very, very differently. The trend jumper does it off of the dailies, and the PTU2 does it off of range bars. It kind of just slows down some day trading, basically is what it is. That's why I kind of call it a hybrid. They're very, very different. You're going to probably gravitate to one or the other because they are so different. And more than likely, the dailies are just so compelling on the Forex side, that's probably going to be the way you're going to go. The decision for you might be a little bit on the futures side, whether you want to go trend jumper or PTU2, but you've got them both. So you're not forced to make a decision immediately, and you're not having to pay more money if you decide to do something else. Rhonda, as far as you trade the Nikkei on the CME, yeah, I mean, as long as you can chart it on TradeStation or NinjaTrader, then you can trade any market that comes through Ninja or TradeStation. So that's kind of the key. Ninja is compatible with more data feeds, so you could probably argue that they probably ultimately have access to more markets and international markets. TradeStation definitely has some international markets. They've got all the Forex pairs, and they have, you know, the Eurex and some other international markets. But more than likely, if you really want to do more international, for what I would say international outside the U.S., then you may want to think about NinjaTrader. Michael says on the TradeStation special, will they give the total cost $39.97? Even though I'm a standalone trend jumper owner? Well, Michael, if you upgrade into the university, that's a good question, actually. Maybe Brian can answer. Like, if he bought the trend jumper and then he does the 2000 upgrade, I assume that they could code it, right?
Yeah, they can code it. There's a special code for trend jumper only and a special code for PTU. And all you're going to need to do is give them the code for PTU, and then they will give you the full value of the PTU course.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I figured that would be doable. Let's see. So if I'm using MT4, I think that's what you're saying, Tony. Yeah, then trend jumper. Yeah, if you're MT4, you're going to be focusing in on trend jumper for sure. What I might say is we've had a lot of people who start an MT4 and decide, you know what, I really want to be able to do all the markets or have access to futures and not have to just trade these specific plans. So a lot of people end up going into Ninja or TradeStation, but absolutely, if that's where you want to start, no problem. Rhonda, I don't know 100% on that, but I'm going to guess on the Nikkei that Ninja, I don't know exactly which feed will have it, but I'm almost sure that one of their feeds would have it. I don't know if their Kinetic has it standard or not, though. Maybe that I know you can hook up like an e-signal data feed, which I know they have it, into NinjaTrader, so I'm sure it's doable. It's not a market that I personally have traded. Fuad says, oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question on that if you do a referral. Let me go ahead, Fuad, and give you Brian's contact because we will do something nice for you on that. We do have the ability to give you a referral credit. Let's see. Bad typing tonight if I use MT4. Yeah, so, right, Tony, I think I answered that for you. Yes, you would want to use Trend Jumper, correct, for MetaTrader 4. Can we install on Ninja and TradeStation? Yes, we do have some people who run both platforms. We have people who install on a desktop and a laptop. That's fine as well. So we have those available to you. I always recommend to a lot of people that you run it on one main system and then use LogMeIn or go to my PC. But certainly if you wanted to have it running on two different computers, it's licensed to you, and you have to get us just to open the license up, but we'll definitely do it for you. You don't have to pay extra for that. Johnny, the trend jumper by itself is the standalone is $9.97. Rhonda says, do you think heating oil is better than the Nikkei? You know, Rhonda, I just don't have enough experience in the Nikkei to say, but the heating oil is pretty killer. Heating oil futures, I don't know. I mean, Troy, it's kind of, we have a bit of a love affair with it, I guess. What do you think?
It's hard to beat it up. I mean, I've looked at so many different ways of trading heating oil. It's just hard not to make money with it. The Nikkei, I don't have any experience with either. You have to have a special data feed. I do think it's expensive. I think that the tick and point values are very high on the Nikkei, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. It probably is a little bit closer to like trading the DAX futures, which, by the way, we didn't talk about. Great market. So DAX futures, for those of you in Europe or Australia, New Zealand, I don't think we showed it at all hardly tonight, but that's a really great market to trade in the European hours and the U.S. hours. You can definitely approach it both ways. Sam, that's a good question about the year-round. I mean, there is some seasonality potentially in the energies, and we've even seen it in crude oil and unleaded gas. So it's something that we are aware of. However, the systems are very dynamic. So I can tell you that, for instance, the range bar sizes that I've used on heating oil have been anywhere from a low of 25 ticks, the size of the range bar, up over 40 ticks. So that's a huge difference, and that's just over the last 6 months. So we have seen a lot of change in volatility and ranges, but the nice thing about the systems, the way that we work them, is they will tune themselves to current market conditions fairly quickly. We don't immediately rush to, make the ranges huge on one big week, nor do we make them really small if a week is slow. But the dynamic part of it is pretty nice. So I think we're going to be good, but I would agree there'll be weeks and months that are much better than other weeks and months. Okay, yeah, Rhonda, so it's $25 per tick. Yeah, so kind of like the DAX is 25 euros per point. So actually some similarities, I guess, there a little bit. Certainly, if you try it out, I'd be very curious to know. Like I said, I just don't have any experience with it. James, our UK-based trader, was looking at a number of different international indices. I just haven't had a chance to talk with him about that on the Nikkei if he's looked at it.
I'm very interested myself, but I'm not subscribed to the data feed.
Yeah, I don't know if it comes through on TradeStation or not. I kind of almost think it doesn't. Like we can't even get it on TradeStation. I'm not sure. I don't think so, though. All right, I think I'm going to do one final call out for any final questions. You still got us. So we're here live, Brian, myself, and Troy. So if there's any final questions you all have, welcome aboard to the new people who have enrolled. Like I said, get going on the prereq first. I know it's like going to school. You got to do a little homework, but please do that because it'll really make the experience in the undergraduate, which starts the week after next, that much easier. You'll really comprehend everything that we're teaching you inside of there. It'll be that much easier. And then you'll be able to start coming to the live signal rooms, and that'll all make sense. So this just kind of go through, right? Just 3 steps is all I'm asking you to do. You're going to get through all 3 steps this month. So unlike most universities where it's 4 years, or if you're a little slow, 5 or 6 years, you're going to be able to get through everything inside the next 30 days. So just know that, Ronnie, you started trading a week ago, made 7,200 and then blew it. Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing with us, we will never enter any trade without protection to the downside or the upside on a short because we know we're going to be wrong on trades. I mean, it's just the reality of it. I mean, this is about being realistic. So you will never have that situation inside the PTU. You'll have losses for sure, but we'll never wipe out an account, certainly on a trade, or wipe out an account on a series of trades. It just should not happen if you follow the plans correctly. All right, Troy, any closing comments before we let everybody go on with their night?
Oh, it was an interesting webinar. It was fun participating with. Thank you, everybody, for your time and staying with us this evening. And I look forward to meeting all our new members in the live trade room.
And Brian?
Yeah, like Troy said, it was a fun webinar, and look forward to talking with the new members. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to contact us at support. So thanks again, everyone.
And same for me. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Hope if nothing else, you leave with some food for thought about futures and Forex, and maybe make some changes, do some things different to what you've been doing. But if you have any questions, you've got emails on the screen. I'll be happy to we'll be happy to answer those. Give us a call, send us an email. Come to a future webinar. We never mind. Come to all of them. Learn what we can share with you. There's no obligations on any of those, so that's not a problem either. Everybody, take care.